everyone, and welcome to the set 16 review for the neutral cards. Do keep in mind that during the review, this is again just a review of the neutral cards through Abysscraft lens. So if there is some card that is good for some other class and I say it's not really great, just kind of keep that in mind. But let's look over the scaling, or I guess ranking system first before we get to the cards. Here's the card rating system, with 5 basically being it's a really good solid card and 0 being it's a trash card, and everything else kind of somewhere in between. Do keep in mind these scalings are based on the best deck that can use the card, but you know, kind of feel free to still try things how you want. I am not the end all be all of what could be or should be good in a deck, so you know, I always encourage some creative deck testing and whatnot. Definitely done it myself. Also, I'm still looking for feedback on if you guys really care about the card rating system here. If not, let me know, or if you do and you're fine with it, again, let me know. I don't know, it's always kind of a little bit of a weird balancing act trying to, you know, have cards kind of accurately rated. So if you do find it helpful, again, just let me know, and if not, that's totally cool. So first up is Olivia, Heroic Dark Angel. She's a 5-cost 4/4 that can evolve for 1, has Ward, and on Fanfare you get to draw a card, and on evolve she becomes a 5/5. She still retains Ward. She does get the on evolve skill of select an enemy follower on the field and deal 5 damage, and she also has the new mechanic, the super evolve ability that says give your leader +3 life and recover 3 play points. It's very weird in the sense of Olivia has a lot of different things going on between having Ward, drawing a card, dealing some damage, healing a little bit, recovering play points, you know, a lot of little random stuff going on, where I think she's mainly just meant to be kind of a generic super evolve for any deck that wants a super evolve, since it is a new mechanic and there's not a lot of cards that are going to have super evolve just out from the get-go. Obviously, with her being a fallen angel, she can obviously just fit right into fallen angel / angel decks pretty easily, pretty naturally, but otherwise she's kind of so all over the place that she doesn't fit into any other real deck, real solid. So it's kind of hard to really say that she can fit in anything, when in theory she basically can fit into everything. She kind of reminds me of the line of, I forget who said it exactly, but the phrase kind of goes, when you make something for everyone, you make it for no one, as in she does so much little of everything. Like, she's a jack of all trades that basically just nothing really fits really well with her. So yeah, she's really kind of just literally the definition of just okay, and doesn't excel or be bad at anything in particular. Next up is a really interesting card. It kind of gives me a little bit of nostalgia, but I'll get to that in a second. It's Ruler of Cygames. He's a 6-cost 6/6. A lot of 6/6/6 implication there, I suppose, but he has Fanfare, deal 6 damage to your leader, and put 1 of each of the Silent Rider, Servant of Cygames, Demon of Purgatory, and Astaroth's Reckoning tokens into your EX area. As far as my nostalgia comment, I'm kind of thinking of Lost World with this card, where he's pretty expensive and costs, well, in this case, he costs life as well, and I'm thinking of like Lost World from Buddy Fight, where it costs 2 gauge to play Lost World at the end of your opponent's turn, especially since when we get to a second to the tokens, I'll show the tokens, but the tokens kind of really remind me of some of the Lost Vaders in Lost World. So yeah, let's get over to the tokens and look at them. So here are the tokens. So the first one is Silent Rider, which is a 1-cost 5/5 with Storm, so very cheap, but you know, good stats with Storm. You got Servant of Cygames, which is just a 1-cost 8/8 body, so really cheap, but just a really big attack and defense. You got Demon of Purgatory, which is a 1-cost 6/4 with Ward and Fanfare, select an enemy follower on the field and deal 6 damage. And then lastly, you have Astaroth's Reckoning, which is a 10-cost spell, and it sets every enemy leader's defense to 1. Overall, the only one that seems just straight up really good is Silent Rider. Obviously, a 1-cost 5/5 Storm is real good. I'd say the second best is probably Astaroth's Reckoning. I don't know, maybe between Demon of Purgatory and Astaroth's Reckoning as second and third best, not totally sure. 10 play points is a lot, and usually games get done by, you know, well before turn 10. So honestly, yeah, probably considering most games don't go to turn 10, Demon of Purgatory is probably better, I'd say, in second. Then probably Astaroth's Reckoning, and then Servant of Cygames is just like a big body that doesn't do anything. It's just a vanilla. So yeah, he's kind of last in my opinion. So overall, I'm not sure what the intention of Ruler of Cygames and his tokens are, but they all just kind of seem very mediocre, and especially for Abysscraft, I don't really see them being anything special. Maybe if you're making like an Archfiend deck, with Flaming Glass, because these are all Archfiend cards. Maybe you could do something with that, but for Abysscraft, I think you can just kind of ignore these. At the very least, I will admit that the art is very nice and well designed, but that's about all, and it's kind of a very special kind of gimmick and mechanic, I suppose, but that's pretty much it. Next up is Fildau, Lionheart Ward. He's a 3-cost 3/3 that evolves for 1, and he has Ward, and on evolve he becomes a 4/4, still retains the Ward, has an on evolve that says select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 3 damage, and then his on super evolve abilities says select an enemy card on the field and destroy it. I forgot to mention in the Abysscraft video, but all the on super evolve followers that are not legendaries are gold, and they all seem to have the Ward title in their name, so it's just kind of a slightly easier way to tell, at least for this set, if a card has super evolve or not. I am curious if there is a little bit of like a story behind why all the wards have super evolve, but if not, and it's just kind of an aesthetic thing, then, well, you know, whatever, no big deal. But anyways, talking about Fildau himself, he's just kind of, generally speaking, okay, at least for Abysscraft. Maybe there's some other decks that don't really have like a 3-cost 1 play point Evo that does 3 damage, but Abysscraft seems to have at least like 2 or 3. The 2 that I can think of off the top of my head are both Blaster Dark and Air Shucker. The only thing that I can think of that kind of makes him justifiable in any deck is his on Super Evolve being able to destroy any enemy card on the field, so that does include amulets, but that doesn't seem like that justifies like eating up the Super Evolve for your deck, unless the 2 Abysscraft Super Evolve followers in set 16 don't work for your deck at all. I suppose you could look at this as a Super Evolve option. So all in all, I'll kind of dismiss him generally for Abysscraft, but I certainly think for other classes there's probably some potential use for him as like a flex Super Evolve option. Next up is a kind of combo of cards since they do work with each other. The first is Alouette Doomright Ward. Well, I guess there's a ward there and she doesn't have Super Evolve. But anyways, Alouette is a 4-cost 3/3 that on Fanfare you get to summon a Keen Edge artifact token. The spell is a 2-cost spell that says select a Supreme Token follower on your field that costs 5 or less and summon a Supreme Token follower with the same name as that follower. So obviously the idea is you just, you know, pay 2 to summon another Keen Edge artifact token. I suppose for the playpoint cost, both Alouette and her Doomright Resurgence spell are cheaper than just being able to somehow pay 5 to play a Keen Edge artifact token, so I suppose you are kind of, you know, saving a few play points playing her or her spell. Also, before I forget, Keen Edge artifact is like probably one of my most favorite artifact tokens, not that Abyss really plays any, but just the fact that a follower that has 3/4 with Russian Drain just, you know, seems really good. Between the two of them though, I could see running Alouette Doomright Ward Index, just kind of generically splashing them in, especially since the Keen Edge has Rush, so you can at least get an attack in with it. But the spell itself, it's kind of more situational, I think, especially since there's not a lot of 5-cost or less Supreme tokens other than ones that are just in neutral. Abyss, as far as I can think of off the top of my head, doesn't summon any tokens that are Supreme attribute tokens, so you're kind of just running weird neutral artifact, neutral I've said neutral a few too many times, but you get my point. Like, it's just like there's not a lot of options playing Abyss, it's just mainly more neutral cards. Anyways, on to the next card. It's Leah, Bellringer Angel. She's a 1-cost 0/3 that has Ward and Last Words. Give your leader 1 life and draw a card. Obviously, she's meant to be like a, not pretty much a straight upgrade, but for all intents and purposes, a straight upgrade from the original Bellringer Angel in set 1. The original Bellringer Angel had a lot of good just turn 1 defense by just, you know, throwing her on the board and turning her sideways and just telling your opponent to deal with her. And even if they do, you get to draw a card. And she essentially does the same thing with a little bit of life gain too, which is nice. And the only reason why I say it's not a straight upgrade is just because you can't evolve this new Leah Bellringer Angel, where with the old one you could, but I'd say that's really not a downside. I mean, even not too shortly after, you know, the game came out, generally speaking, people would run maybe 1 evolve form of her, but even then I've seen a lot of old videos where people were just like, yeah, I don't even run the Evo form of her, I just literally throw her in the deck just as like a, you know, turn 1, just like block and attack pass. So I think this is kind of the original base form being realized as like something that like it doesn't need an evolve, and so since it doesn't need an evolve, you can at least just give it a little bit better stats, a little bit of a stat buff. So overall, a good option for a lot of different Abysscraft decks depending on what you want to do, especially since it's very cheap and easy to kill your own followers, especially with like soul conversion and soul predation now. Next up is Apollo, Heaven's Envoy. It's a 3-cost 3/3 that evolves for 1, and on Fanfare you deal 1 damage to each enemy leader and each enemy follower on the field, and on evolve it becomes a 4/4, and its on evolve effect also says to deal 1 damage to each enemy leader and enemy follower on the field. Apollo is an interesting card because I kind of read them and I'm like, the effects seem really good, where it seems like there should be some decent application for him, especially for like wide forest craft boards, because it seemed like a lot of those followers tend to be 2 defense, maybe 3 defense at most, but usually 2 defense, so that could help clear wide boards. But he's also just weird in the sense of he has, like, it seems like potential, but it's just like, I don't know what potential exactly he has. So I guess if there was ever like a sideboard kind of card, I definitely would get the vibe that he might be an option, especially if Bats ever comes back into the meta. I know I ranked him as 2, but that's kind of, Apollo's weird. He's a good tech option, but it's not easy to classify him into any certain deck, so I feel like I can only rank him so high. But he definitely seems like something that you just want to kind of keep in the back of your head as like metas progress and stuff, and how decks build out boards of followers. He seems like something that you kind of want to keep an eye on, and maybe even just get like 1 playset just in case, like, you know, in a rainy day meta, like he just actually becomes relevant. But overall, as just like a 1-sentence summary of him, I think he's actually like pretty solid. So even if you don't really have any plans on running him, I mean, he's only silver. I can't imagine him being that expensive, so you could probably at least just get like 1 playset, like I said. Last up is Divine Thunder, which based on the art looks to maybe be like a spell based off of Apollo. It's a 5-cost spell that says select an enemy follower on the field, deal it 7 damage and 3 damage to its leader. Unlike Apollo though, this card seems very mediocre and just like nothing super crazy or special. So especially for 5 play points, that just seems like way too much. And you're not even actually killing the follower, you're just dealing at 7. So even if it's like a bigger follower, you're not even like insta killing it. So this seems so weird. And the 3 damage to the leader just doesn't seem worth it for 5 play points. So yeah, I think overall you could just skip this card. So there you have it. That's kind of the neutral review. I am getting pretty close to 150 subs. I think I'm at 143 as of recording this. So if anyone isn't subscribed yet and do enjoy either the gameplay or the commentary here, you know, certainly consider subscribing. But otherwise, have a great day, guys. Bye.